Mary, welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
I am well.
Excellent.
It's delightful to be here.
Yeah.
It's rainy outside, but everything is greening up.
That you can't beat that.
No, I like it.
So how did you get into music? How did you become a professional musician? Or...
Those are two different questions.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I started playing guitar when I was 9 years old in 1979. Just got there under the wire of... I guess I started in the 70s.
Yeah.
I go back to the 70s. Wrote songs, played in bands, high school band, all of that. Had a band in college. I grew up in the East Coast, so the band was called the Cement Shoes Blues Band. It's East Coast. And we were a big band on campus for a couple of years. And everybody was a senior when I was a junior. And after that, I was like, well, we'll do some gigs in the summer. And they're like, we just graduated college. We're going to go have lives now. And I'm like, but the band, man. And they were like, no. And that was kind of the first time I realized I was taking it more seriously than the average bear. So I did my senior year, moved down to Texas, and that was when that's when I was in with both feet.
What did you do down in Texas? That you're in with both feet. What were you doing with both feet?
Country music.
Okay.
Yeah. It was something that had captivated me the last couple of years that I was on the East Coast. But, in 1990, it was a lot harder to learn about things when you're not there than it is now. And it's like I tell kids this, and they're like... But, I went to a very fine research university, and even then, it was hard to just learn about something. I was like, well, I guess I'm going to Texas then.
So were you listening to country when you were growing up?
No.
Okay. So,
I listened to hee-haw mostly because it drove my folks nuts. And it was my way of getting back at them for wanting to listen to Lawrence Welk. You're laughing because you know. And the Dukes of Hazzard.
yeah.
Which that was Waylon and his band doing all the bumper
Right.
music, and he was like the narrator, I guess. And I just remember I'd never heard anything like that. And I was fascinated by it, but I had no context for it, and I didn't know anybody who could give me any context as like a 10-year-old in Connecticut.
Right.
So when it kind of came back into my life in college, I'm like, all right, this must mean something because it's happened to me twice. And I thought it was cool both times.
How did it come to you in college?
I discovered Dwight Yoakam, Steve Earle, and Marty Stewart my junior year in college. I don't know how. I really don't remember how, but those were the three artists that kind of got me into it. And just like, it was just as mind-blowing as it was 10 years before when I was a kid watching the Duke Boys.
Yeah.
By that point, I've been playing guitar for 12, 13, whatever it was, 13 years. But I was like totally Clapton, Beck, and Page.
Yeah.
I had a little bit of a revelation with Dickie Betts. May he rest in peace. And that kind of got me started down that road. But it was really when I heard Pete Anderson playing with Dwight Yoakam. And I was like, I had no idea what that cat was doing on the guitar. It's like, this is clearly guitar and it's awesome, but it's like so far from my frame of reference. Like, I gotta find out about this. And then the songs. It's like, what I like to say is, rock and roll is like boy meets girl, boy gets car, country music, there's like boy meets girl, boy gets another girl, and I'm like, ooh, a triangle.
Yeah.
The geometry was my best, math subject.
Right.
I'm like, I'm in. How can I start writing about this? So I did.
So you went from the East Coast to Texas.
Yes.
Did you come from Texas up to Minnesota, or were there any other
Yes.
pit stops on the way?
No, that was it.
Okay, when did you come up to Minnesota? And what brought you up there, up here?
Have you ever been to Houston in August? It's hot
Yeah.
and humid. And if you've ever been to Houston in January, it is less hot and less humid, but it's not winter. And after 10 years of living down there, I felt like I'd done the things I went down there to do, learned the things I learned, contributed in my way, and I was ready for 4 seasons.
Okay.
You know, it was as simple as that. You know, I mean, if 10 winters I'll never get back, but at least I could start.
Right.
And this is the Twin Cities were a place I'd come through on the road, and when I was towards the end of my time there, I was able to tour nationally, and I always had a great time, and I always met people who could play. And you know, when you come from a place like Texas or Nashville, L.A., New York, something where that's the culture, you can't just move anywhere. So I'd always come through here and met amazing musicians, and I'm like, I can do work here. You know, I can do good work. And so all those things kind of, you know, I was on a big label, and when that ran its course, I was a little bit at loose ends, and I said, let's do this. Let's see what it looks like from another part of the country.
So you were on a big label. Now you're up here in Minnesota. Are you doing things DIY or working with smaller labels, or what are you doing?
Right now I'm doing it DIY, because it's a lot. Like in 1998, I was on Mercury Records, which was a big label, and that was kind of the only way to do it if you were doing anything even remotely mainstream. Mm-hmm. It's not like that now. Like, I don't need to be on a label like that. Like, really, nobody does, unless you're making like super pop music. And I think that's still the right tool for that job, but most of us aren't doing that. So I don't need to be on a major label, which was a big old deal back then. But it's, you can do all of it yourself, and most of it for free, which is like mind-boggling.
How do you like to distribute your music?
I like to sell it to people.
Well, I mean, I'm sorry, CDs, internet, albums.
I mean, I still like physical, but most people don't. Mm-hmm. So I make sure it's available on, for streaming, downloading. I do carry physicals around, which every now and then somebody will, like the barber will go down on that with someone. But chances are they're going to take it home and rip it into their computer.
Yeah.
Right? Before COVID, I used to go to Europe every year, and there's still a market for physical over there, at least from American artists, because they want the souvenir, and they're grateful that you flew all the way across the ocean.
Right.
And it's a different, and I only know about people that are into like roots music and Americana. I don't know that this is true just across the board over there, but folks in Europe are grateful that you've taken the time to come. They know odd minutiae about American culture. I'll give you a story. I shared this with a friend of mine earlier this week. Somewhere in my pictures of tours, I have a picture of a laundromat in Italy, because we were there long enough that we had a laundry day.
Right.
Well, on the picture, in the picture of the laundromat, and the reason I took the picture is because a picture of George and Weezy Jefferson, like stenciled onto the wall of the laundromat.
In Italy.
Yeah.
All right.
And I remember I posted it on Facebook, or it's probably Facebook then, and people were like, "Why are the Jeffersons on the wall of this laundromat?" And I'm like, "Are you serious? George Jefferson made his money in laundromats. That's how they moved on up to the East Side." and like
To a deluxe apartment.
in the sky.
Right.
And like the Americans that responded to me were like, The Europeans were like, yeah. It's weird. They just kind of just come at slightly different places. You see different things.
Yeah. So what projects are you working on? What do you have coming up?
I mean, right now, just like the busy season is, I mean, it's the end of April, so things are starting to ramp up for outdoor gigs. The summer season, the busy time. I'm working with a few different artists and then doing my own stuff. I'm writing some songs. I don't have enough to go into the studio yet, but I'm getting there. I mean, they kind of come when they come.
Right.
And I teach some lessons. I teach people my age.
What do you teach? Guitar, songwriting, the whole shebang?
Both, actually. Yeah. And I really enjoy. I mean, like I enjoy both of those things, but I feel like you can watch YouTube to learn how to play guitar. Mm-hmm. Writing songs is a different. It's not. Those are not the same skill.
Right.
And it's something that I know how to do, and it surprises. I don't know if it surprises me or not, but it's like some people want to write songs that they're. I'm like, okay, well, there's a trick to it. I mean, you still have to bring creativity and stuff, like technique and a little bit of theory doesn't hurt. But there's no point in reinventing the wheel, and it's like, bring me some songs. Let's talk about them for an hour a week. And, I have lots of ideas, but so do lots of people. Mm-hmm. I just kind of, I have learned how to make them into songs that people want to hear. Hopefully. That too. And there is, it makes me happy to share that knowledge. Because I wrote my first song after my second guitar lesson in 1979. I've been doing it a while, and I know how to get it to work. And, that's hard-won knowledge, and why not share?
Do you remember the name of that song?
Yes.
What is it? If you don't mind sharing. All right. If you don't want to share, that's fine.
Fine. It was called Trials and Tribulations. And it was about somebody observing, like Jacob Riis, how the other half lives. Right? The chorus goes, yes, I remember the chorus. These are the trials and tribulations of a man who's lived in poverty since birth. I scorn the men who try to see how the other half lives because their eyes are too busy looking to see.
You wrote that at 9?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Wow.
That's great.
I knew who Jacob Riis was when I was 9.
Right.
My mom took me to the library every week. This is all her fault.
Right. Well, thanks for coming.
Absolutely.
I appreciate it.
It was fun.
All right.
Yeah.